Okay, so now the recording has started. So let's check one by one into the topics. So what is API? So I will just write down the full form of API. So API is nothing but, so you guys know the full form of API,
Yes, application programming interface.
right? And the whole definition of API lies in this particular full form only. Application. So basically, API deals with two or more applications. Programming. So this API is applicable at the programming level, or you can say the code which is there for the application, and interface. So interface is nothing but a kind of a connector or a mediator. So when we will see the definition of API, you will get clear why the name is API, or application programming interface. So let's check the definition or for API. I will just quickly write down the definition, and then we will go over to the whiteboard and see how this is really what it is meaning. So API
Okay.
helps to communicate between applications. So this is the very generic definition of API. So API helps to communicate between applications. So let's see now what that means. All right. So I guess the whiteboard will be visible for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So see what happens. Let's say if we have two applications, right? This is application A and this is application B. So what my definition tells is that if this application needs to communicate with application B, and vice versa, if application B needs to communicate with application A, then in between whatever logic is there, that is called API. So if I explain to you in an easy way, right? See, if we all are talking, right? You are getting what I am telling, I am also getting what you are telling me. So the language is kind of a API between us. You get this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the case. So if this is
Simply the communication
right,
between the two systems is nothing but
exactly.
the API.
Exactly. See, this is you, this is me, and we are communicating in English or Hindi. So that is the base between us to communicate, right? So that
Okay.
is nothing but that is the API. And let me pull up one more thing. Okay. So here I will give a real life example of how API works, like how in the software world API works. So let's say this is a application. Call it application A, or I will give it a name. Let's say this is a flight booking app. Or you can say it Yatra. So you guys are aware of Yatra.com, where we book the flights.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is that app. Okay. And what generally happens? So if a customer kind of goes to Yatra, right? He just books a flight, let's say a SpiceJet flight. So how the things are happening, like Yatra.com or this application doesn't have the code to do the booking for SpiceJet, right? So let's say this particular customer is booking a flight for SpiceJet from Yatra.com. So this is a application A. It doesn't have the code to book flights for spice.com, SpiceJet. But what happens in real time is that this is another application, application B, or just call it as SpiceJet flight booking. Okay. So here also the same story goes. Whenever the person will enter the details for the flight and hit the button, here the message will go to this particular application, the SpiceJet booking. through APIs, right?
Okay.
And all the code, right? The flight booking code, whatever it is written, will be inside the SpiceJet booking app, right? In the
Okay.
means internally, it will search whether the flight is available, whether how many seats he whatever this passenger is requesting, do we have it? Then it will book a flight, it will take the payment, and then it will provide the response to this particular app. So all this dealing is done via the API. So this tool is just kind of getting the requirements from this particular person and hitting the APIs of SpiceJet booking. And in response, the SpiceJet processes the request and provides a response, or you can say a receipt of, yes, the flight has been booked. And this is how these two applications, A and B, are getting connected via the API. So this is a kind of a real time how things or the applications work. So is this concept clear?
Yeah. Can I explain one?
So in Hindi, if it suits, or how to get over here?
No, I will explain what I can understand.
Yes. That will be great.
Okay.
That will be great. What I will do now, I will just write down your explanation over here. You can just go ahead.
Yeah, actually, one person is there.
Right.
He will choose to book a flight in yatra.com.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a one system. So he
Right.
will choose the flight in yatra.com.
Okay.
If he chooses Spice means it will again going to SpiceJet application.
Correct.
Okay. In SpiceJet application, what his requirement is there, seats and availability, everything he will book in that SpiceJet application. Then after SpiceJet, he will respond to the yatra.com.
Yes.
In yatra.com, he will got the ticket details, everything, and payment, everything he will do in yatra.com.
So you are kind of right, partially right. So once, let's say, if he is booking, right, he need one ticket, right?
Okay.
Let's say I am putting for further more details. He need one ticket. He says his age is, let's say, 30 years. Okay.
Okay.
And let's say his booking for SpiceJet, and
Okay.
he's booking for, let's say, Pune to Delhi. Okay.
Okay.
Delhi. Okay. So now what will happen is that this is whole details which this particular application will have regarding the ticket, right?
Okay.
The yatra.com.
Yeah. Okay.
And what this will do now, this application or yatra.com, it will get that, yes, it is for SpiceJet. So it will directly route these details to SpiceJet. So this application is nothing but SpiceJet, right?
Yeah.
So all this particular piece of application, SpiceJet, will have all these details, right? Now,
Yeah.
some developer has developed this SpiceJet and they have done the coding part, right? So based on these requests, they will.
Cash.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, are you getting that?
Yeah.
Okay. So based on these inputs,
Okay.
and the code which is written in the SpiceJet application, it will provide a result and it will say, yes, the seat has been booked, right? And the amount has been, and this is the amount, like we have 20,000 rupees or something, right?
Okay.
And once that payment is done, it will again release back all the information to this particular Yatra booking app, and he will get a ticket over here.
The payment also done in
Right.
only.
Right.
Only just the ticket will be sent to the yatra.com.
Yeah.
Right?
And how it is helping in the real world, no? So this is kind of it acts as a broker application between the person and
user and the
right
SpiceJet.
and the main. So what the case is, no, like today he's booking for Spice, some more customer will come and he will book for Indigo, right? In that case, also we will have a Indigo software, right? Indigo application which is there, right? We can book flights from Indigo as well. So we will have something like indigo.com or something where we can directly go and book the flights.
Okay.
Right. So if someone goes for Indigo, then also this Indigo will have some endpoints or APIs, right? So if some other customer comes and he wants an Indigo ticket, then from this particular app, all the requests will go to Indigo, and the same thing will happen. And Indigo, once the payment and those things are done, he will get the ticket back to this particular portal only.
Yeah, got it.
Right. So this is the concept how different applications are linked in real world via APIs.
Okay.
Right. So now you got the entire picture. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got the concept as of now?
Yeah, got it.
And even the same thing, even the same thing happens in Swiggy. So you guys are using Swiggy tool?
Yeah.
Right. So what happens, you might have observed that whenever you punch a order, you can see that your driver, how he's
Here, can I explain once?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Here also, for example, I am the user. I will book a food through the Swiggy. Swiggy is the broker, and in which hotel we can book.
Right.
They will
Exactly.
got the payment and all. After that, they will send to the Swiggy. Swiggy will give to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
And
got
one
it.
more use case I am just sharing with you all guys here. Like this is
Okay,
Swiggy, right?
okay.
And
Yeah.
there is one more integration of Swiggy with, I will just let you know, with Google Maps.
Okay.
How, like, see, whenever you order your food, you can see that how the delivery partner is reaching you. You can see all the exact view, like what a road he's taking, right?
Okay.
In the
Google
Swiggy.
Map. Yeah.
So whenever you book a food from Swiggy, right, and you get a notification like your driver is ready to pick up your food and he's reaching your home, right?
Yeah.
So you can see on Swiggy itself like how he's driving and reaching back to your location.
Okay.
Right, and that is what Swiggy is using the APIs of Google Map. So that is how you are kind of seeing a screen on Swiggy that the driver is like of reaching your destination.
Yeah, within
traveling
10
to
minutes, 5 minutes
right
like that.
right. So this is also one real world example where Google Map APIs are linked with Swiggy app. All these things happen via API.
Okay.
So let me go back over here. So what is the full form we have covered, right? Definition for API we have covered, right? And now I will just give a quick brief of how a software is developed, right? What are the various layers of a software and where we perform the
Abhinav,
API testing?
hello,
Yes.
Abhinav, sorry for the interruption.
Yes, no issues.
Okay, just if I talk about the definition of the API, then we can say it is a kind of the module or the code which help us or facilitate the communication between two applications.
Exactly right.
So kind of code.
A kind of code. Yes. It's a code. It's a code, not a code. Basically, it's a code, but a very kind of a structured code. Like it's a kind of a rule.
Okay.
Reason being why it is a rule, because if API is not following a rule, then it is very difficult for the applications to communicate.
Okay,
Let's say if
protocols and rules
protocols,
it is already framework. Just we have to put our thing.
Right. Like,
because they have created the framework that in this way the API will call one API to another API, but just in between of the framework we have to put some certain lines of code as per the nature of the application.
Exactly, and that is not code, that is just requirement, like basically what we require. So it's not a big coding part, just we need to put what is the required. Like In the earlier case, we saw like we want one ticket, we want 30 years of age, we want a SpiceJet. So that information we have to just provide.
Okay.
And then everything will be taken care of. It's like we are talking in English, right? We have a set of rules defined, and when we follow that, I am understanding you and you are understanding me. So this is the logic.
Okay, so rather than saying the code, we should say the rules.
Yes, and rules. That is why when we say about APIs, we generally talk about protocols. So protocols are nothing but rules.
Okay.
So now I will switch.
One more thing, Avinash, one more thing.
Yes, please.
So you had given the example of the SpiceJet. Okay, if I in the SpiceJet application itself and try to booking the flight, then what I would say? It is a Intra API calling.
Exactly. So that is what I will explain into this point. So right now, what we have seen is that example, I will just highlight over here. Third-party applications communicating with each other, right?
Okay. Like Google Maps.
Right. But within the application also so there are various intra-level APIs which you are asking as of now.
नहीं मेरा आप समझ जैसे एक ही एप्लीकेशन है, मान लें हम उसी में ही कॉल कर रहे हैं, वहां पर जाके टिकट बुक कर रहे हैं, तो क्या वो इंट्रा एपीआई कॉलिंग होगा या वहां पर एपीआई कॉलिंग होगा ही नहीं?
वहां भी एपीआई होगा। वही चीज अभी अपन ये वाले कॉन्सेप्ट में देखेंगे कि एक एप्लीकेशन कैसे बिल्डअप होता है और उसके क्या लेयर्स होते हैं, तो उसमें अपन को समझ में आएगा कि ये इंट्रा एपीआई कैसा होगा।
ओके, तो इंट्रा एपीआई जनरली फॉर द से एप्लीकेशन इटसेल्फ इट इज अ इंट्रा, for two different applications to communicate it is inter.
I'm quite bit मतलब intra or inter, but if we have two different applications,
यदि दो एप्लीकेशंस हैं, दो अलग अलग एप्लीकेशन है जिनका कोई रिलेशन नहीं है, तो वो तो इंटर एपीआई कॉलिंग हुआ ना।
राइट।
और सेम एप्लीकेशन पे इंट्रा एपीआई होगा।
एग्जैक्टली एकदम सही। इंट्रा मतलब अंदर ही अंदर, राइट?
हाँ, एक ही एप्लीकेशन में, जिस एप्लीकेशन में यदि if I am visiting to application A and I am in the application A itself and I am doing the application, I am doing certain work, so that it will be an intra API calling.
Exactly.
If we interacting with the, like as you had given the example of the Google Maps with the Swiggy, it is an inter API calling.
Exactly. So you are exactly right. So this example which I gave before, so it's a inter API call, you can say.
Okay.
Right, and now we will see what are the layers of an application, and there we will have an idea into intra API. Right.
Okay.
So can we start this particular topic?
Yes.
Okay. So see, Shrikant, is it clear for you till now?
Yeah.
Okay, and Sonal, for you?
Yes, of course.
Okay, got it. So now we will see what are the layers for which any application is based. So we will have three parts for application. Just quickly write down. So this is the UI part, or you can say a front end. You guys are aware of front end?
Yeah.
Front end is nothing but whenever we open a page, so how it looks in the real life, so that is front end. Like if I open any web page, so how it is looking, where is the logo, what are the buttons, so all this comes under front end, right? And now we will have the very major part of the application. It's called a business layer or business logic or API layer, you can call it anything. So this layer, no, whatever the coding part is there for the application, whatever the functional coding is there, so all that comes under this part. All the coding part I will just write down. So all the coding part, as in like whatever the codes are written for the functionality of the application, like enrolling a user or kind of a doing some payment. So all those particular codes will be there in this layer, the business layer or the business logic, or this is called the API layer. Various APIs are defined over in this part. And then we will have the last part, which is a DB layer. So anyone can tell why DB layer is used? So this layer is used to store values or to store the results of whatever is being processed over in the business layer. So as of now, these three parts are clear, these three layers.
Yes, Avinash.
And the main thing is that no, all the three layers, no, they are interconnected with each other. Like once these three pieces are interconnected, no, you can say the whole application is developed.
This is a three-tier architecture.
Exactly. So this is the whole complete application, and this is a three-tier architecture, which is generally called in the software industry. So these form a basis of any application: the front end, the business layer, and the DB layer. And also I will write down some, like this is front end. This is basically the CSS, HTML, and those things which the developer will use to frame his web page, how the web page will look like. This is the business layer, and here he will use some coding language like Java or Python and those things. And here we will have the database things like Oracle or MySQL. So those are the databases which he can use to store up the results which are generated in the coding part. And so regarding the testing field, if someone is testing the UI part, he is called a front-end tester, or you can say generally a tester. Right? If you are doing manual testing, right, of an application, you are generally testing the whole application or just the kind of a UI part of the application. So you guys have done manual testing, both of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, when we test any application, it's just the full application which we get for testing, and we do the testing as per the requirements we get from the client, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the manual testing part, where we basically focus on the UI part of testing and all the end-to-end flow, like how the application is providing the responses. And if we are testing the DB layer, so it's called a kind of a DB testing. So here we will kind of run some queries on the database environment and check if those queries are giving the proper results or not. And if the testing is performed on this business layer, no, it's called as API testing. API testing. So if you are testing directly the business layer of application, so that comes under API testing. So are you getting the point now?
Yeah.
So for API testers, no, we focus on the business layer or the application layer of the system, and here we generally do our testing part. So here is why the API testers are required much. So reason being, no, so whenever any application is developed, these two process, no, building up the DB and building up the business logic, will take most of the time. So you can, so I have just marked them as a dotted line, right? Whenever the developers integrate the DB layer and the business layer, right? Then you can say that 90% of their coding work is done. 90%, or you can say that the application has been developed by them. Just they need to integrate the UI, the look and feel of the application with this, and then they are completed with the application 100%. So initially, like in the olden days, means some years back, we were testing application when it was 100% completed, but now we can go ahead and test the application here only along with the developers. So the testers and developers, they can work in, you can say, side by side to test the application from this particular piece only. You are getting the thing why API testing is more important?
Yeah.
So rather than testing the when the application is fully developed, we can switch in early and we can do the testing when this coding part and the integration with the DB is done. So then also we can start up our testing. And this is why whenever a application is developed or whenever you will get some requirements, you will get the APIs before the UI part. So you will get the APIs to test, and once you test the APIs, then only you will go ahead and do the UI part of testing.
Okay.
So because in my project, where I am working, there is a new application which is getting developed, and I have got all the APIs already. So every API and their DB linking is ready so that I can start the testing. And once that is done, we can also go ahead and do the UI part of testing. So that
Avinash,
is the, yes.
just one thing. Okay, so I got one point from this explanation that the API testing is good, or you can say we can adopt API testing when UI is not available. This is the one of the advantage of the API testing, that we can
Yes.
do early testing.
Yes.
And what would be the other advantage to adopt a API test apart from this one?
The other advantage will be, it will be very quick. The API testing will be very quick. Like in UI testing, it will take some time, some manual effort, right? But in API testing, it is very fast. You can just provide the proper input and get the response and verify it. So that is one thing in the API testing. It is quite fast as compared to UI testing. And the third advantage will be you will be able to find out bugs or defects very early in the testing process. See, this API testing will deal with 90% of the application, right? 90%. So you can do just API testing and you can just give a go ahead that the application is ready to be released, because just the 10% is pending with the UI part.
Okay.
So once you do the API testing, you get a very much confidence on the application. Around 90% you are confident that this application will work as expected. Just you will have to give a very brief sanity check whether the UI part is integrated well or not. This is also very important. It's not that this is on a higher priority. You can say this is on priority 1, right? Priority 1 of testing, and this can be taken as a priority 2.
But in the UI side, okay,
Right.
if I am doing the API testing, okay, तो UI side जो हुआ हमारा, तो वो सिर्फ डेटा डिस्प्ले का काम रह जाता होगा,
right
UI में,
right, data display,
उसकी
like
मैपिंग करते होंगे हम लोग बिजनेस लेयर के साथ
exactly
UI का,
exactly.
because
अभी
if I
देखें,
doing the API testing,
हाँ, अभी let's see one flow. Like if it is a kind of a कोई if a person is logging to Facebook, right? So Facebook पे क्या दिखेगा अपने को? यूजर नेम पासवर्ड, राइट? एंड वही यूजर नेम एंड पासवर्ड UI से बिजनेस लेयर में जाएगा, राइट? There we will have the codes written, and what the code will do, it will create a user ID, or it will create a ID for the user, right? and this ID will be stored up into the database. So when this user will come second time and he will try to log in, what will happen is, no, these three things are integrated. The DB will provide the ID back to business layer, and from the business layer, the UI will display all the things like his name, what is the profile name, what is the friend connection, what is it means everything. The profile will be opened for the user.
So UI to just it is kind of the display manager.
Right. It has to behave as the output it gets from the business logic.
Okay. All the things are mainly in the business layer. Either you can check it whether the user is able to, user is getting created in the or not, whether you are getting the success from so on. All these things should be can be tested in the API side as well.
Yes,
Okay, just
all the
UI.
things.
Yes. UI
And
we can
right.
just we can consider it as kind of the display.
Exactly. But for the end-to-end customer, like for the client who is going to use, he's going to see the UI only, right? He is
Yes.
not going to do any kind of testing on the coding part.
Backend,
He
backend
doesn't
tested.
right backend testing. So he's not concerned about that. He wants the UI should be up to the mark, and to ensure that we have to do the backend testing.
Okay, because I do the API testing as well. That's why, because I am automation tester.
Okay.
So I doing the automation as well.
Okay. So you might be aware, like in your project, this is the real reason why we are going with the API testing.
Okay.
And so is this part clear?
Yes.
I will just write down, because this I will share this particular thing, and it can be used as a notes for you guys.
Okay.
What we have layers of an application. We have basically three. So basically, this is the most common tier of an application. Though we have one tier or two tier, but then I'm keeping the course short because you guys can start the API testing, right? So Sonal, you have already done the API testing in your project, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for Srikant, it will be a kind of a switch from manual to API. So it will be very helpful for him to get ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Abnas, in the two-tier application, be generally deployed where there is not required to store the data. Clear?
yes. So this is the three-tier layer of an application. So okay. So can we move ahead to the next point?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so in API testing, no, there are some terms like client server request and response. So we will see this right with a real life example. So basically, this is also asked in some of the interviews where the interviewer may ask you to provide a real life example of API. Where you see this real life example. So I will just quickly share with you guys there. Okay. So this is a famous kind of a restaurant example. So I think Sonal, you might be aware of this. Let me write down. So this is a restaurant. Okay. Here we have a waiter. Let's say waiter. Okay. And here you are there to order something. Okay. So basically what happens, no? So if you want to eat something in the restaurant, you just put the order to the waiter. I will write down it as a order. Okay. What waiter will go to the restaurant, or you can say the kitchen of the restaurant. Kitchen. He will get the order when it is prepared, and he will get back to you and he will deliver it to you. So in this particular example, no, we will have to figure out something like where is the API, where is the server, and where is the client. So can you guys locate who is acting as a API over here?
People who are facilitating between you and the restaurant.
So yes, it is the waiter, right? He's taking up my order, going to the kitchen and bringing back the things to me, right? So the waiter, he is behaving as API. Is the picture clear?
Yes.
Okay, so the waiter, he is working as a API. So he is taking my order, going to the restaurant, getting the things and delivering it back to me. So this is one system, this is one system, this is the intermediate contact between the two systems. So this is behaving as a API. And now this restaurant, like restaurant or the kitchen, from where the things are getting ready, see, this is nothing but the server. This is called the server. He is providing the service at the end. So this is the server. And from where all the requests are coming, so this is coming from you. So this is nothing but the client, right? And whatever we are ordering, so we are pushing our request. So this is nothing but it is called a request in API terms, or in, you can say, in the software terms, this is a request.
Can you explain this one once again?
Which one?
Just I'm confused here. Here, the user, I mean, client is person who
Just a
is
second.
that.
Right. See, this is the person, right? Or
Yeah,
you can say this is you went to a restaurant,
yeah.
you told the waiter you need let's say rice. Okay.
Okay.
So the order
Yeah,
is
can I
going.
explain once? Is it correct or not? You can guys tell me.
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah. I am the person. I went to restaurants.
Right.
After that, server will come. I mean, servant will come, waiter.
Right.
So I will order the whatever items I need. I will order to servant. He
Right.
will went to kitchen and he will provide those things. So he
Exactly.
is the API
Exactly. Right.
and the kitchen is the server.
Exactly.
Me is the client.
Exactly. You got the point.
Okay.
You got the point. And the order which you gave is request. In software terms, it's not called order, it's called
Yeah.
request.
Yeah,
And
whatever
what
food I need, that is the request.
right, and what the waiter provided to you, what he delivered in software world, it is called response.
Response. Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So
Very
this is the
nice
whole
explanation.
this is the whole picture of API in real world. So you when you will go for the interviews, no, the interviewer may ask you, so give me a real life example over here. So this is what we can give there. So everything is clear from that part, right?
Okay.
What is the thing? So I think this one is clear. So we can go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abhilash, just one thing.
Yes.
Okay, so if you showed us this example,
Mhm.
okay, and I'm saying that when we do the API testing, do we
Yes.
require a database or only the server?
See, it depends on the application. If the application needs to store the data, no, so then whatever we will provide the request, it will first go to the database, and from there we will get some response, and then the application will provide the response. So it depends on how internally the application is linked to the database. And if it's a kind of a let's say a portal or something where DB is not that much required, it has some hard coded information, then there won't be any need of a database.
ओके बट जैसे ही हम लोग जब रिक्वेस्ट हिट करते हैं क्लियर तो वो सर्वर पे ही तो जाता है रिक्वेस्ट
हाँ सर्वर पे ही जाता है राइट यू आर राइट। देन
ऐसा?
हाँ हाँ, सर्वर पे जाता है, मीन्स इट कैन बी एनीथिंग। मतलब सर्वर, सर्वर क्या होता है? सर्वर इज समथिंग विच इज काइंड ऑफ अ सर्विंग यू, राइट?
यस।
इट्स नॉट दैट कि मतलब वो रिक्वेस्ट कहीं इंटरनेट पे जाना चाहिए, राइट? सो देर इज वन थिंग लाइक आई विल, मतलब अपन जब व्हेन वी विल गो कवर फ्यू थिंग्स, नो, देर इज वन थिंग लाइक व्हाट इज अ वेब सर्विस एंड व्हाट इज अ एपीआई. सो देयर वी विल गेट दिस better into the picture, like what is the role of internet in the API services.
नो, मेरा कहने का ये मतलब है कि
हाँ
जब
जी।
सर्वर पे जाता है तो क्या सर्वर के लोग उसको फर्दर डेवलप करते हैं कि डेटाबेस से वो कनेक्ट होकर डेटा लाए?
नहीं 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 नहीं, सर्वर आप समझो कि एक
सर्वर में भी तो स्टोरेज
कंप्यूटर
होता
है।
होगा ना? सर्वर
हाँ
में भी तो
होता है।
स्टोरेज
हाँ हाँ, सर्वर आप समझो कि जस्ट एज अ आपका एक लैपटॉप है ना, वो भी एक सर्वर ही है।
के लिए।
तो अगर अगर आपने एक ऐसा एप्लीकेशन बिल्डअप किया है जो जिसको कुछ इनपुट लगे और वो ऑटोमेटिकली रेस्पॉन्ड कर दे, तो वो एक सर्वर है। जैसे कि अगर आपने मोबाइल में कुछ आपने सेटिंग किया है, राइट, कि जब मुझको लेट्स से वेन एवर यू गेट अ कॉल, यू टेल दैट आई एम बिजी, आई विल बी बैक, राइट? if you are if you did this particular setting, then your mobile is also a kind of a server. वो एक रिक्वेस्ट ले रहा है एंड वो रिस्पॉन्स दे रहा है।
नहीं, मैं ये कहने का मतलब, जैसे मैं हम लोग एपीआई टेस्टिंग में रिक्वेस्ट सेट करते हैं, गेट की हो गई या पोस्ट की हो, मान लो गेट की करते हैं, उस
हाँ,
पे हम परम टैग देते हैं, परम टैग की वैल्यू देते हैं। क्लियर?
किस चीज की वैल्यू?
परम टैग देते हैं ना, परम
हाँ
टैग,
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
परम
देते
टैग
हैं,
देते हैं, दे
देते
दें।
हैं।
और उसमें हम वैल्यू चेंज करते हैं, मान लो मेंबर आईडी की वैल्यू तो चेंज होगी,
राइट
मेंबर
राइट।
आईडी की वैल्यू। मान लो एक एग्जांपल के लिए कि मेंबर आईडी है 1 2 3 4 5, मान लो मेरे
ओके।
को 5 का डेटा चाहिए तो 5 डालूंगा, 4 का चाहिए तो 4 का, यदि पूरा
हाँ,
डेटा चाहिए तो कुछ भी नहीं डालूंगा, ऑल
राइट
कर
राइट
दूंगा।
राइट
क्लियर? तो
राइट।
जब वो मैं इंडिविजुअली अपने जब इनपुट चेंज करता हूँ, तो
हाँ
क्या वो डेटा पूरा स्टोरेज सर्वर पे रहता है या रिक्वेस्ट वो कैटेगराइज करता है डेटाबेस में? जैसे 5 का चाहिए डेटा तो
राइट राइट
डेटाबेस में
राइट।
जाएगा,
हम्म।
3 का चाहिए तो डेटाबेस में जाएगा, या सर्वर से
हाँ
ही पूरा
हाँ,
डेटा?
वो ये मतलब ये जो सर्वर है ना, इसको आप ये कंप्लीट, एक सेकंड में आपको एक ये समझा देता हूँ, जस्ट अ सेकंड। आई मेरे को पता चल रहा है मतलब व्हाट यू आर आस्किंग।
क्योंकि हम तो जो रिक्वेस्ट सेट करते हैं तो वो सर्वर पे ही जाती है, वो
सो
मेथड तो
ये
सर्वर पे ही
देखें,
पड़े ना।
दिस इज सर्वर।
क्लियर?
अरे यार, ये मेरे जरा पेन ये हो रहा है, बट चलो एक नहीं,
ठीक,
एक
चलेगा।
जस्ट अ सेकंड, नहीं इसको जरा ये कर देते बिकॉज वी हैव श्रीकांत एज वेल। चलो कोई नहीं, वी कैन यूज द टेक्स्ट। सो दिस इज सर्वर। अरे यार, सर्वर, ठीक है। सर्वर में वी विल हैव टू थिंग्स, कोड, बिजनेस कोड,
यस।
ठीक है,
यस।
बिजनेस कोड एंड डेटाबेस। अरे डेटाबेस,
यस।
एंड दीज टू विल बी कनेक्टेड वाया, मतलब आप जो इंटरनल एपीआईज बोलो या कुछ भी, दीज टू विल बी कनेक्टेड, डेटाबेस एंड द कोडिंग पार्ट।
ओके।
तो सर्वर इज अ कंप्लीट थिंग, दिस इज अ कंप्लीट थिंग। सो ये आया, दिस हियर कम्स आवर रिक्वेस्ट, राइट? ये दिस इज अ होल प्रोसेसिंग. Once the request will go to the coding block will check whether he is asking for ID number 1 or ID number 2. Then accordingly it will generate the database query. The query will go to the DB. DB will process the query and it will show the output. The code will read the output and the code will provide the response.
ओके ओके ओके। सो
So,
हम लोग तो
but
सिर्फ जो मेथड है वो सर्वर पे प्रेजेंट है, लेकिन व्हाट एवर द
right,
एज पर द नेचर ऑफ द रिक्वेस्ट
right,
व्हाट वी आर आस्किंग फॉर, तो
right,
सर्वर विल फर्दर इंटरप्रेटेड एंड सेंड इट टू डेटाबेस इफ इट इज रिक्वायर्ड
right.
the data from the database and further send back to server, and server will send back to the client.
Exactly. So server is a collection, means it's a
Yes.
big thing. It is having very various hardware, or you can say components.
Yes, yes.
So that is the whole flow.
ओके, लेकिन रिक्वेस्ट हमारा सर्वर पे ही जाएगा, सर्वर फर्दर क्या
हाँ
करना
राइट
है,
राइट राइट,
इट विल टेक अ डिसीजन।
वो सर्वर की प्रॉब्लम है।
ओके ओके,
उसे जो करना है।
लेकिन जो हमारे मेथड है जितना भी वो सब सर्वर पे ही प्रेजेंट है, एपीआई
अरे
मेथड।
हाँ, all the things are defined. Every coding is there on the server,
ओके ओके,
right? Okay, so this is done, I think. Yes. Okay, so now what is 954? Okay, so we will go ahead. Okay, so types of APIs. So we have seen that APIs are kind of rules or protocols, right? So it should have some definite framework or some rules to define. So based on that, basically we have two types of APIs in the industry. One is a REST and one is SOAP. So I will just quickly write down the full form of them, because sometimes in the interview, no, they will ask you what is REST. What is the full form of REST? So any one of you know it? Like you have the full form?
representation state transfer, I think.
Representational
Representational
state
state transfer.
state transfer. Okay. And what is REST? Basically, what it works on is HTTP or HTTPS.
I think both.
Both. So this is a hypertext transfer protocol. So these all are protocols how we use to communicate between the applications. So if it is a REST API, it will use this network, HTTP or HTTPS, and it will have its own rules for the API part. And if it is a SOAP, so this will just recall the over here. It will be simple object
access
access
protocol.
protocol, and it will use XML. So XML will be extensible markup language. So it will use XML as a base, and REST will use HTTP or HTTPS as a base. So these are the two, basically the two major ones, which are the types of APIs. And in this also, what we can say is that, I will just put a note over here. Nowadays, company are using REST APIs and not SOAP. There are, so nowadays the companies are going for REST APIs. They are preferring the REST protocol over the SOAP. So there are few reasons for that. So I will just let you know the main reason. So REST is quite fast than SOAP, because the SOAP uses a lot of data into the body, and to get those datas transferred between the networks, it is kind of a time consuming. So nowadays, whatever the requirement is coming or whatever the IT industry is using, most of them are REST APIs. REST is faster than SOAP, and thus it is used widely. And also REST is a bit more simpler to understand than SOAP. So SOAP, if you see a SOAP request or a SOAP body, it will be XML and it's quite complicated. But REST, it will be JSON format majority, and it will be easy to read. So REST is easy to understand than SOAP, you can say. So is this concept clear? What are the types of APIs and why we are going for REST rather than SOAP nowadays?
Okay, yeah.
So Shrikant,
Yes, yes.
does it make sense for you?
No. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So now let's see. This is also one of the interview questions, right? What is a web service and how APIs and web services are different from each other? This is generally asked in the interviews, and we will see what is a web service and what is a API. So see, it's very, I will just write over here. It's very easy. So whenever any API, right, if it is connected to the internet, no, it will become a web service. So what we mean by this is, no, see, APIs and web services, they have the same logic or the same kind of work which they are doing. But if a API is hosted on the internet, it becomes a web service. So I will just quickly show you. If I am hitting google.com, right? So this is a web service, reason being it's hosted on the internet, right? But if I have some application which is not working on the internet, let's say if on the desktop, right, on my desktop, if I have something like I have a iSaver, so this is not connected to the internet, this is just an application, so it will have APIs which are working for it. So the basic difference is whenever the internet will come into picture. So if any API it is connected to the internet, then it will be termed as a web service. So this is the simple logic for that. Nothing much more than that, or nothing much more too complex over here. So is it clear, Srikanth and Sonal?
Yes, yes.
And here is one more statement, like all web services are API, but not vice versa. So in the interview, no, various interviewers will ask, so what all web services API? So the answer is yes, but all APIs are not web service. Because see, if we have a web service, it's a combination of API and internet. So if it is a web service, it is a API. But if it is just a API, it's not having the internet, then it's not a web service. So it's a simple logic over here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, okay, we will see what are the tools which are currently used for API testing. So you guys have any idea of some common tools which we use for API testing?
Yes, one of them I am using SOAP UI and
Okay.
Postman.
Yeah, we have I will write down SOAP UI, correct.
And
Then Postman, correct.
And for automation, we are using other.
So we have SOAP UI, we have Postman, you have JMeter. So anybody have heard of JMeter?
Yes, I have heard, and it is used for performance testing.
Right. And here also you can do the HTTP type of testing of protocols, and it will give you the response and the status code and everything.
Okay, so it is limited to the HTTP only.
Yes, you can use it for the REST testing, REST services testing. So JMeter can be used. And then we have automation tools like Tosca. It also uses it can also be used to do API testing, as well as combine API testing with you can say with automation. And we can also use it means we can perform the API testing.
Tosca, Avinash, I couldn't get it. Tosca is for automation or the manual API?
No. So Tosca is a tool. It is a licensed tool. It has a paid version. So it is basically for automation testing and also to test the APIs.
Okay.
So like how we test in Postman, no, the same we can use to test in Tosca, and then we can also run them automatically.
Okay. In the Postman, what I have done is just hit the request, get the response, and nothing else.
No. So in Postman also we have various things which we can do. So we can run the collection, we can extract the report, link it to Jenkins, and those things we can do in Postman. So it has a wide range of application as well.
Okay.
So we can do it.
So in the same way, we can use Tosca like Postman.
Yes, but there is a prime difference. Postman is not that much costly to use to start with. It's a free tool we can
Free,
install.
yes.
But Tosca has USD fees or license, so we have to pay to get the application and then go ahead. So
Okay.
the big companies or the big clients, they will go for Tosca, but majority of the IT sector, what I can see is that they are using Postman for their testing.
So you mean that from security point of view?
No, not from the security. So security point of view, Postman is also good, Tosca is also good. But Tosca is a kind of premium software. It's very user friendly. So anybody can learn this particular tool.
Okay.
Right? Because see, if you are using Selenium or those things, those are open source software. You have to do a lot of setting to get the things in place, right?
Yeah.
But in Tosca, everything will be there, and that is why they charge the fees for it or the license for it.
Okay. So you mean Tosca has a upper edge over Postman?
No. Because of the fees and license associated with Tosca, Postman has the upper edge. So in any kind of, if the requirement is to do the API testing, no, what I can say is that the best tool to go with is Postman.
But
Yes.
But does Tosca offer the vast variety of testing, or both Postman and Tosca are same?
No. These two are very different tools.
Okay.
So see, Tosca is more of a for full-fledged testing, not
Okay.
only API, but you can take everything in the testing field. So like we have
Tosca is limited to API only.
No. Tosca is, I will just split it. API plus automated testing. Now it is clear.
Okay.
So automation testing you do via Selenium, right?
Oh yes.
The same can be done with Tosca, the same testing.
And automated testing can be do with the Postman.
Postman, you can do the API testing.
Yes.
And you can run a collection of APIs automatically.
Okay. So just only to run the collection of the API or the request that I have created.
Exactly.
But not to automate the automated testing.
No.
Okay.
You can integrate it with Jenkins. To automate the process of triggering the API. So these things you can do with Postman. So
okay.
So see, in real time, what happens now, whenever a new requirement is there, we will get the APIs, and as a tester or anyone, they do the manual testing of each and every API before they go and automate the APIs.
Clear.
Right. And Postman is what I have seen in the industry, my project, various other projects, everyone is going on with Postman, and around 80% of the things are done with Postman and using manual API testing.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly the same thing I am doing right now. Whatever the request to automate the test case when it come to me. Okay, so first we check it in the Postman whether the request is working fine. What kind of the response that we are getting? What is the nature and the architecture of the response? What is the request body and all these things? We all things verify in the Postman side, and then we automate it. Generally, what practice I follow.
Exactly. So these are some of the tools, right? So, and the advantages of API testing. So I think we have already cleared this thing. So can you guys recall what were the basic advantages over here?
We can do early testing.
We can do early testing, correct?
Yes. API testing is faster.
API testing is faster, exactly.
We can find out the early defects.
Bugs.
Yes, Srikant?
We can find easily bugs.
We can find bugs early.
Yeah.
Because we will do early testing, we will find bugs early, and once the bugs are found early, the cost of the project will go down because the bugs will be fixed very early. So once a bug is found at the last stage, so that is very costly for the project.
Yes.
Project cost will go down. Anything else? Yes, one more thing. One more very important thing. See, in API testing, we have protocols, right? Protocols in place. So the applications can communicate with each other regardless of what internal coding is present with them. So I will just go back here. So let's say this is application A, this is application B, right? And we are communicating via API, correct? So if this application is using Java as coding, and this application is using Python as coding, so do you think that there will be any difficulty for the application to communicate? Hello?
Yeah.
So you got the scenario?
Yeah, two systems are there. One is Java and another one is Python. Is it API is working, communicating between these two systems easily or not?
Yes. So the question is like, here we have one system, one application, and the developers have generated that application, or they have done their coding in Java. And here we have one application and its coding is done in Python. But these two applications are communicating easily via API. So is this statement true or false?
I think so, true.
Exactly. So this is actually true, because APIs are kind of protocols, and they don't have to do anything with whatever programming language the applications are using. So this they can easily communicate
They will
using.
just they will send the request and getting the response. They
Right.
don't know internally coding or anything. So
No. So the internal coding will be dealt by the application, but this request and response transfer, the APIs will do it efficiently. So it's no need to there is no issue whether the application is using Java as code or whether it is using Python as a code, because we have to use the protocol either REST or SOAP. So this is the basic thing.
okay.
So if it is a REST, then these two applications will understand REST. If it is a SOAP, they will understand SOAP. So it's like I am there and you are there, Srikant, right?
Yeah.
My hobbies or my activities are different, your hobbies or activities are different, but we both can communicate using English. So this is something like that.
Okay. Got it.
So I will write that the applications can communicate easily regardless of coding language used. Okay. So yeah.
You mean Avinash, so APIs are independent of the application or whatever the language it has used to design.
Yes. Yes, Sonal.
But how it is possible that the API is I mean, it is not impacting to API to request and response?
See, because the application will use the protocol of API. So APIs have protocol REST or SOAP, right?
Yeah.
So whenever something like say if they are using a REST, so if the request is coming from application A to application B, so everything will go as a REST, and here this there will be kind of a connector used in this application which will convert the REST message into the equivalent Python code in this application. And when the response is getting delivered to application B, so there will be a small connector which will convert the REST response into the equivalent Java code so that this can understand. So basically, while developing these applications, basically what the developers will use, they will use connectors or API connectors for this case, so that their applications are independent and they can easily read the REST message and convert it to the language in which the application has been coded. Is it making sense, Sonal?
Yes. Okay.
Got it.
The last topic for this particular day is what type of API testing can be achieved. So basically, I have highlighted three things: functional, performance, and security. So these three types of testing can be done through the API testing part. So you guys are aware of functional testing?
Yeah.
Okay. So Shrikant, you know, right, the functional testing which we do usually manually on a project?
Yeah.
Okay. And are we guys aware of performance testing?
Yeah, load testing, stress testing.
Yes.
Then
So that also can be means carried out using the API. So I will just show you where we have this performance into picture. So yeah, right. Or I will show you this particular one. Okay. So here we have the thing, like the waiter is going to the restaurant and getting the food. So the time taken in between to get to the restaurant, get the food and deliver back to you. So that is what is some kind of a performance parameter, right? Like we want the things quick, right?
yes.
So that is what API testing is used. So in Postman, when we will use if we will trigger the APIs, we will get something as a time taken to get the response. So that is counted into the performance part. Also in JMeter, when we will trigger the API, so it will give a very kind of a report of how much time the application is taking to provide the response back. So that is also you can test via the APIs. And the third is security. So security is nothing but who can access the application, who has the authority to access any particular server, whether someone from outside is able to access the API. So those things we can check under the security task. So basically authorization and authentication. So these are two things we can verify over there. So yeah, these are the things which was put on the plate for today. So I will kind of end this session for today, and I will kind of schedule a meet for coming Saturday. And if you guys are interested, then just let me know. We can continue the.
Yeah, I am interested.
So if you guys have any question, you can just let me know.
Okay.
I will. Can I stop the recording and I can stop the screen sharing now?
Yeah.
Just give me a second. Stop share and stop the recording. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.